Good afternoon, everybody. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this session of Research and Innovation Days. Our session is part of the Innovation, the Way Forward for Europe, and what we are discussing here today is how we leverage innovation from across the Europe. My name is Signe Ratso. I'm Deputy Director General of DG Research and Innovation, and it will be my pleasure to moderate this session. The session comes at a very key moment for research and innovation in Europe. The COVID recovery is offering us an opportunity to recover in a sustainable way. It gives us a possibility to rebuild our economies in a way that corresponds to our ambition of becoming a digital leader and the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. Innovation is indispensable to make Europe emerge stronger and more resilient from this crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the high importance of research and innovation cooperation in order to deliver rapid results. We need research and innovation policies which are fit for purpose and that help us to foster a European innovation ecosystem that can connect innovators across from national, regional and local levels. Also draw on place-based experiences and strengths and ultimately help us to leverage innovation from across Europe effectively, from north to south, from west to east. Now, let us look how the EU is doing today. Two of our key tools to monitor and also evaluate Europe's innovation performance are the European Innovation Scoreboard and the Regional Innovation Scoreboard. The latest 2021 editions of these scoreboards were just published this Monday. Let us look at the European Innovation Scoreboard 2021 ranking for the whole EU. The 2021 scoreboard shows that the EU experienced a 12.5% improvement in innovation performance between 2014 and 21. As now you can see on the screen, over the last 7 years, innovation performance has improved for all member states, but not at the same pace. 5 member states witnessed an improvement in performance of 25 percentage points. These are Cyprus, Estonia, Greece, Italy and Lithuania. 4 member states had a performance improvement of between 15 and 25 percentage points: Belgium, Croatia, Finland and Sweden. And for 8 member states, performance improved between 10 and 15 percentage points, and the remaining 10 member states witnessed an improvement of performance of up to 10 percentage points. Now, when we look at the second slide, which is the innovation performance of different regions, the picture becomes more diverse. There are regions with stronger and weaker performance in almost every country. This points to a persistent still innovation divide between and within member states, which unfortunately undermines our internal cohesion and our capacity to recover and transform our economies in a way that leaves no one behind. One major driver of this divide that hampers innovation performance is the fragmentation of the innovation ecosystem. So what we are going to do today in this session, we are really trying to tackle the questions of how we can better leverage innovation from across Europe. And I have the honorable panel members with me in order to put these questions to them, and namely to find out first what opportunities do the twin digital and green transition and the COVID recovery hold for innovation. Second, how can we strengthen cross-border innovation ecosystems and generate prosperity for various stakeholders? And finally, how can monitoring tools such as the European Innovation Scoreboard and Regional Innovation Scoreboard help us to map and leverage prosperity, leverage the innovation performance, both at national, regional, but also at local level? Now, let me introduce our speakers, today's panel, with the help of whom we are going to explore potential solutions. And certainly, they can give their perspectives from the national, regional point of view, but also from the entrepreneurial point of view. The first speaker on our panel is Mr. Hrvoje Mestrić, who is Director for Science and Technology from the Ministry of Science and Education in Croatia. Welcome, Mr. Mestrić. The second speaker is Ms. Arantxa Tapia, who is the Basque Regional Minister for Economic Development, Sustainability and Environment. The third speaker is Ms. Kristina Sermoksnite Alesiuniene, leader of the company Agri-Food Lithuania, Digital Innovation Hub. And last but not least, I'd like to welcome Ms. Andrea Paisilova, co-founder of Sansoneo, a global provider of smart waste management solutions that are designed and developed in-house and produced in the EU. Now, what I'd also like to do is to ask you, the audience, to get involved in our discussion. And you can use, for that, putting your questions, you can use Slido. You can see on the screen hashtag RIDaysEU, which you can use in order to get involved in the conversation. And please put also your name and organization, and preferably also to whom you'd like to put your question. But now, without further ado, I'd like to ask the first panel speaker, Mr. Mestrić, the question related to a Croatian example. But let me just put a few words of introduction. Now, the latest innovation scoreboard shows that our innovation performance continues to increase, and Croatia is the best performing emerging innovator. And over time, your performance relative to the EU has increased strongly. In fact, it had the highest growth among all other emerging innovators since 2014. And as we know, Croatia's strengths are in innovation, in innovators, both product and business, use of information technology and linkages. Additionally, this year, Croatia also has a unicorn company, which is called Rimac Automobili, which is also presented in Innovation Ecosystem session during Research and Innovation Days. Now, I'd like to ask you from a national perspective, how can policymakers ensure that strengthening cross-border innovation ecosystems brings prosperity to various stakeholders? And what do you think are the biggest challenges to create and foster vibrant national, but also regional and local innovation ecosystem? Now, over to you.
Thank you, Signe. It is really my pleasure to be with you today, and congratulations on the successful start of Research and Innovation Days. Indeed, some theoretical approaches to innovation depart from the understanding that innovation is territorially embedded process, and I think we in Croatia did accept this, and it is we realize that it is strongly dependent on a set of social and institutional framework conditions. framework conditions shaping innovation is long, and it's very, as we all know, a very complicated system. And it may include the availability of funding, the accessibility to infrastructures, education and training systems, local interactions, cross-border interactions, etc., etc. So, as you mentioned already, the latest regional innovation scoreboard of the EU shows that this process is not as linear as we might think, and we are in Croatia are happy that we show some respect, show some progress. But however, we see the big differences in performance between countries, but also within our country. And this is maybe the question and problem we want to tackle in the next period with the help of EU funds and RRF plan. So according to the latest innovation scoreboard, Croatia is marked as emerging innovator. But as we said, relative to EU, this performance is increasing strongly. We are the newest member state, small in population, with challenging recent history. However, the new numbers are encouraging. We have had an improvement in innovation performance on 21.5 percentage points in the last 7 years. And this is our biggest improvement in 2021. It is also interesting that Croatia also performs above EU average in category innovators. So these figures are not accidental. They are the result of constant investments in reforms. To answer your second questions, the biggest challenges to foster vibrant innovation ecosystem at all levels remain linked to the talents and the infrastructure. So we know that everything starts with people, and talents need adequate and attractive environment to perform and flourish. So we have good examples in Europe clearly showing that innovation ecosystems develop around great innovators. They can happen anywhere and can soon develop the Silicon Valley style effect, employing influence on policymakers and citizens. And this is exactly the example you already mentioned. One domestic example in Croatia is a case of Rimac Automobili, the company pioneering in high-performing electric cars. However, we have also some other companies, unicorn companies like Infobip, currently a global leader in omni-channel communication. We have also the Orca, the company which develops first-person view spectacles. And such companies can radically change the local landscape and impact a wider set of conditions, including the education and training system, which is critical for us. So the role of decision makers is to recognize this potential, to help enabling, but also refrain from disabling their development further. So we still have a lot to do at the European level as well in order to recognize EU-wide potential and mobile start investments. We need a strategic approach at the European level, leading to further closing of the innovation gap within the and between member states. And this could be of the core pillars of the European innovation policy for the next decade.
Many thanks, Mr. Mesrich, for giving us some insights into the creation story. Let us now move on to the regional perspective, and it's my pleasure to now ask Ms. Tapia to join our discussion. And certainly when we look at the over the period, then we can see that there has been a process of convergence between different regions. Still, the differences stay, but the most innovative regions are typically also in the most innovative countries. However, regional pockets of excellence can be identified in several moderate innovator countries. And the Basque Country is one of them. It is also the most economically productive regions in Spain, and according to the latest scoreboard, it is a strong innovator with the highest performance among the 19 Spanish regions. Now, what in view are the key ingredients of this success? And perhaps you can also tell us, how did you manage transition away from heavy industry to an innovation-based growth model that puts also a strategic emphasis on sustainability and eco-design and circular economy? Please, over to you.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you very much from the Basque Country. Many thanks to the DG Research and Innovation for this invitation and for having selected the Basque case of innovation as an example of regional innovation in Europe. I take this opportunity to greet my institutional colleagues here in the panel, and especially the CEO of Sansoneo for the success on her entrepreneurial initiative. This telematic meeting is part of a very special week for the Basque Country, for Euskadi, where we celebrate the recognition given to us by the Regional Innovation Scoreboard that we have just seen. We are a very small region with only 2.2 million inhabitants located in the north of Spain, and the regional panel has baptized us as a pocket of excellence, as you were telling us, for having shown capabilities as a result of high innovation and for being above the European average, despite being in a real geographic and administrative context where the innovative bet, the innovation does not have the intensity that we have here in the Basque Country. So the results are clear and have been recognized. So we are a region of high innovation, above the average of the European Union, and in the best position in the Spanish area. So there is no doubt that this panel should help us to know where to position ourselves, and above all, to know how we can improve in the future. We are analyzing the indicators that have been measured, and we can say today that our main strengths lie in the high impacts of innovation in terms of sales of new products and employment in knowledge-intensive sectors, as well as the highly qualified young people. But regarding the challenges, the Basque Country maintains the need to increase the percentage of innovative SMEs, an indicator that has been improving during the last years, and that it has improved also compared to 2 years ago, but in which we are very aware that we have to continue working very hard. We are a country eminently industrial by vocation, conviction, and by necessity, of course. We believed in the industry because it is associated with our DNA and has been and continues to be our economic engine. We come from a productive and intense industry, an industry that has known how to offer added value and modernize thanks to its commitment to research and development. Innovation has been the motor of this change. Prior to the pandemic, we have been working on new approaches to industry suitable for the 21st century, with a Basque Industry 4.0 strategy highly focused on intelligent specialization based on the fields of advanced manufacturing, energy, very, very clean energy, and biohealth, and also attending to food as an area of opportunity. The health crisis and the economic crisis that COVID has given us have accelerated all the transformations in all over Europe, and in the Basque Country we have joined the European Green Deal by designing our own Basque Green Deal roadmap. It is not about avoiding what has been done so far, but quite the opposite. The task is now to know how to take advantage of our industrial and technological strengths to provide us with a sustainable and inclusive development model. And all this implies intensifying the transformative policies of the generation of clean, renewable energies the implementation of sustainable mobility systems and models, responsible food management that serves the entire value chain here in the Basque Country, from the primary sector through the transformation of food industry and even to gastronomy. And an industry which, with a production that reduces its emissions and it's environmentally clean. So we have to clearly measure the footprint of our industry, and we have to focus on circular economy and bioeconomy. And this will only be possible with a strong innovation, again, bet and innovation policies. So I return to the starting topic. I would like to highlight the uniqueness and exceptionality of the Basque Country as one of the few cases in Europe that, not having a favorable environment, geographic environment, we have advances in our ecosystem as a pocket of excellence, and we have to continue in this sense. Singularity, considering that there are some capitals of cities that are in the same position, but we as the Basque Country, not being a capital of the country, are well located, and we have to be connected to networks of innovation in other European regions. A singularity that it is also reflected in the panel, and that we want to continue with our industrial commitment. So we need a strategy, of course, tools and public support. And I think that these are the key ingredients to continue in the same field.
Many thanks.
And thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mrs. Tapia, also throwing light on the developments in the Basque Country and what you've been doing there. So now we have had the regional perspective as well as the national perspective. Now let's continue with the business perspective. And for that, we have as a panelist, Ms. Sermos-Knite Alesuniene from Lithuania. We know that there is a lot of potential in rural areas, which often also have agricultural base. Now, from your experience, how do you think can place-based innovation boost economic growth, namely in remote and rural areas? And how can we foster stronger connections between innovation actors, both in rural and urban areas? And I would appreciate if you stay within 4 minutes, then as all speakers, then we also have some time for Q&A. Please, over to you. Sorry, I'm afraid we can't hear.
Hello, thank you for having me today. It's a big honor to join you at this panel session and answering the questions. Well, first of all, I would like to underline that I'm a managing director from the AgriFood Lithuania Digital Innovation Hub that brings together major research, business, and public stakeholders in Lithuania for the common pursuit for digital transformation in agriculture, food, and associated sectors. So we have to remember that agri-food sector, even though it's a priority sector in EU, it is very conservative sector and faces many challenges. If we look at the twin transition, that's Green Deal and digitalization. So thinking about that, to ensure that rural areas still have the accessibility to all the innovations and have the possibility to work with the research and innovations, we need to underline that it should be the possibility for all of them, for the SMEs and enterprises, to have the possibility for the test before invest. What it means? It means that businesses in the rural areas need the facilities, need the possibility to have infrastructure to test their products, to test their possible innovations, so they wouldn't be afraid to ensure that new innovations are implemented. Another very important point is upskilling and reskilling for the human resources. That is very important, and where we can bring academia for help of us, connecting ensuring that all the labor forces have the ability for the upskilling and reskilling, working together with the universities and bringing also new people, new skills into the sector. Another very important thing is to ensure that startups also have the possibility to join the rural areas and implement their new innovations, their new products, and have the possibility to test those products before going into the markets. And of course, networking and bringing the international knowledge transfer from the EU. For example, this year we have become the 8th food hub in Lithuania, and it's very important to collaborate and bring those such organizations as European Innovation and Technology Institute, for example, food knowledge into the member states and into the rural areas, especially as we have seen on the map how Lithuania looks like. We have very small region, that's Vilnius region, where we are already experienced innovators. But for the rural areas, we still need, and we have so many chances to expand and do much more good. And this is where also governmental institutions come into play very much so, into the programming and planning the new programs for the upcoming structural funding period. So to ensure and make sure that the funding would be also coming for the regional areas. And I would like to underline also, which is very important, we have to remember that clusters are also one of the big players. And also for the rural areas, they can bring so much more value in helping in the transition. So in very short, thank you, it would be it.
Well, many thanks for giving also the insights and the experience that you do in your innovation hub and how you really bring different actors together. Now, last but not least, I have the pleasure to pass the floor to Ms. Vasilova. Now, as a co-founder of Sansonea, who is the global provider, by the way, global provider of smart waste management solutions that are designed and developed in-house and produced in the EU. Now, can you please tell us what is your experience of being an innovative company and producing in the European Union? And what are the main challenges and how could we better leverage innovation from across Europe?
Thank you. I would also like to thank for the opportunity to be able to speak at the venue. It was very interesting for me to hear the opinions of the other guests. First of all, I would like to say some marks regarding the scores of Slovakia, which is the country where our company is headquartered and where I'm living. And I take it as a personal challenge and motivation to take our part to develop our country to a further level. Luckily and fortunately, I can see in the past years a great boom in terms of innovative companies, especially technological one popping up on the market. And it's also true that also Slovakia is typical by huge regional differences. Bratislava seems to be like a booming place for many technological companies. We were honored yesterday to meet Ursula von der Leyen, who was on a visit in Slovakia regarding the resilience plan. And we had a chance to present her our solutions, and it was great to see the interest in new technologies and the opportunities that these companies are bringing to the European future. One of the tools that is helping the companies very much, especially the ones from the region like Slovakia, are the tools that the European Commission and European Innovation Council provides, and we are the example. Last year, we were lucky to be one of the winners of the EYC Accelerator grant to deploy our solution on a large scale to prove its ultimate benefits for the economy and environment. And it's a huge, huge advantage to have such a tool available. Otherwise, it will be much harder for a company like ours to be able to show to the world what can be done in terms of environmental goals that are ahead of us. It's really an opportunity that we can see on the market. There is a certainly gap between the expectations, or I would say rather objectives and goals of the European Union in terms of the Green Deal activities. And on the other side, the tools that are available, especially for cities. So this is where we see the opportunity, and that's how we see our chance.
Many thanks, Andrea, for speaking about the experience of your company. And I was really glad to hear that European Innovation Council has really been the financing your innovations, that you have been a grantee of the accelerator grant. So really, this is already a very good example. Now, overall, we've heard different perspectives, what have been the key components of success. As we've seen earlier, that even if differences persist, there has been progress in all member states and also in different regions across Europe. Now it's time to come to the questions to our panelists, and let's have a look what the audience is interested. So first, the first question actually I think was also inspired by the unicorn that we heard from Croatia. But what do you think could the unicorn companies have as a multiplier effect within their region, and what could be the instruments, both at the EU and also national level, that could encourage this? Who would like to take this question?
Well, I would be happy to comment on that one.
Yes, please.
As a startup, we are naturally connected to many other companies, especially in regards to investors, because they are organizing their own events supporting the founders of the companies. And the biggest effect this has is a role model. You always have to look at someone and see the inspiration, and this is one of the biggest drivers of all the entrepreneurs. So I believe this is definitely something that drives the regional innovation because there is someone to follow. You see the example, and it's absolutely very strong.
Okay, I saw that Mr. Mestric was nodding. Would you like to comment as well on this question?
Yes, of course, this is maybe the most important effect, that the unicorn in the region which should undergo industrial transition can really be the role model, and it can change the whole industrial setup in some region which is lagging behind, because it may attract new young people to the work in those companies, and can also change the paradigm of the industrial development in the region. And I think this is the very good example that in Croatia 10 years ago nobody could think even ever that the automotive industry can be developed in Croatia at all. But now we see this is some of our leading companies exactly in this industry. So this is the way I think the innovation should be implemented in the regions.
Okay, very many thanks. Now I can also testify to the same phenomenon of a role model. as the country which I know best, as we say in the EU, is Estonia, which has the highest number of unicorns per population. And I can really say that these companies have been role models for the others and actually have been then investors into the new unicorns. So this is really the cycle that can continue. And this is also one of the objectives of European Innovation Council, really to find out the companies with potential of scaling up, investing them so that they can become unicorns. But now we have a different question, which is how can we motivate citizens to actively participate in innovation ecosystem? If you followed the opening session of Research and Innovation Days, you perhaps also noticed that the word citizens was mentioned several times over and over again by all honorable speakers, let it be Director General Jean-Éric Paquet, Commissioner Gabriel, but also the other speakers. Now perhaps the citizens come into play at a regional level. So I wonder if Ms. Tapia would like to come in on that question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry for my problems with the connection because we are under a big storm now. So sorry for that. And okay, I think that our citizens are quite involved already in these innovative processes because we need to be in the digital and green transformation, and this digitalization and this green new economy are very, very related to citizens. So if we can let them understand that they are part of the process that the region needs to be in, they will be quite involved in these innovative processes. And at the same time, I have to tell you that we have a small experience with kind of finding financing fund for innovative processes in small industries and on entrepreneurial processes. So there are two ways of involving them in the Basque Country: letting them be part of the process, and as financing as financiers of all this process, so they can be involved in a good way, and they will be part of this innovation processes and innovative areas and regions. So this could be an example of how to work. And okay, we are in the very first steps of the process, but it could be a way.
Okay, thanks. I wonder if Christina, from your Innovation Hub perspective, you may also have some experience to share with us.
Yes, well, first of all, I should underline that citizens are the ones who are actually transforming the whole food chain. If we are talking about the food chain, about the agri-food sector, citizens are the main who are inspired and who made this all digitalization and green transition already started happening. Why I say that? Especially during our COVID crisis, we have seen that the consumers' behavior has changed drastically, and by no means agri-food sector had and still has to adapt. And from this point of view, the whole food chain is transforming from the ground. Now the citizens are the ones who are dictating how they want to see the food, how they want to see it, like this strategy from farm to fork, the way they see it. They want the healthy food, they want quality food, they want traceability, they want the quality not to be changed, they don't want any additives in the food, they want to see how the food is moving actually from the farm to their table. So they are already the ones who are transforming the whole food chain. And I think only the involvement of the citizens gonna grow bigger and bigger, and that's to what the whole sector is adapting, and that's what we are looking at as from the perspective of the businesses.
Well, many thanks, Christina. Now, certainly, I think this is the question that comes up in several sessions, is the main lessons learned in post-COVID area. And now, from your perspectives, either from the national, regional, or the company perspective, how, in your view, can we close innovation gap faster, which we will certainly need in this post-COVID area? Who would like to start?
Again, me, if that's all right.
Okay, Andrea.
Thank you. Well, I believe that IP rights are valid worldwide. So that's definitely something which is in place, a great tool and great differentiator. And certainly building partnerships around Europe is one of the ways how we can foster European economy. That's also, for example, what our country does. We have so much in common, and the market is really small if you look at it like from the regional point of view, and that's why it really matters to build the partnerships. That's also how we operate, and we believe that the quality of the solutions is something that really matters, especially when we are talking about the industrial area, about the specific industrial components and products. And we can see clearly from our company history that it's something that matters, especially when you are delivering to public administration, to B2G, operating in B2G sector. So I wouldn't see this area as such a great threat as the people might see it, because it really it's differentiated by IP rights, and that's something that's still valid.
Okay, very well. Now we are coming to the close of this session. Now I'd like to give just 30 seconds to all speakers, just for a final word before I conclude. Mr. Mestrich.
My final word would be that all the regions in Europe should think about setting up the regional innovation system, which is strongly connected to the national and to the European, and foster the new industrial transition models within their local environment in order to create role models for all young entrepreneurs and innovators. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Tapia, in 2 sentences. What would be the final message?
Let's say only one thing. Final message from the Basque Country. I think that we have to focus on our strengths and then try to be excellent, to be innovative, put all our tools from the region's point of view, considering all these strengths. I'm going to focus on our new needs, on transformations, but always taking into account what we know and what we have to be in the near future. So innovation is the right way, but consider the strengths and look at the future of them.
Okay, now I'm afraid I need now to have the final word. Sorry, Christina and Andrea. Let me conclude. Certainly, Europe's clear ambition is to become an innovation leader. And as we see from the innovation scoreboards, the most innovative countries generally performs best in various fields of innovation. And to achieve a high level of innovation performance, countries need a balanced innovation system. They need appropriate level of private as well as public investments. effective innovation partnerships among companies, with academia, as well as innovation-friendly business environment that we could see in all the cases that you brought. Also strong digital infrastructure and skills. And these key areas correspond largely to the dimensions and indicators which are used in Innovation Scoreboard. Now, in order to improve our performance, we also need to better leverage innovation across the continent. We need to work together on all levels in order to bring innovation divide, to provide more better possibilities to scale up great ideas and to create breakthrough innovations. And this we can only do if we manage to connect actors on national, regional and also local level. So one thing we can do is to build the lessons learned from the regional policy. And Horizon Europe and new cohesion policy represent these opportunities. Thank you very much.